It is Easter weekend, and happy Easter to everyone. I am in the process of pulling out my little slab-built fountain for the summer. I usually keep this on the patio and up on the table so that the birds can use it without without putting them in too much danger of cats and predators and so forth. So, and I guess if the cats want to drink and the birds will let them share, maybe they'll share, they can get up here too. So this is all slab built. I had a student, well, this came about as a professional development exercise that we had during a week of professional development when I was teaching. And the deal was you got a 25-pound bag of clay, and you had to make something spectacular. The prize was $1,000 to spend on supplies and so forth for your classroom. And so in a Title I school, you definitely need all the money you can get because of this situation. And so anyway, this is what I built because we didn't have any wheels at the professional development thing. So I decided, okay, build this. This for kids, for a kid project, this is great because it's slabs. You don't have to know how to use a wheel. So I wanted to tell you about some museum putty, and I also want to show you about these little pumps that you can get. First of all, museum putty is handy for putting things on display and keeping them in place at the museum. It's a pH balance stuff, which for this it really doesn't matter. But for example, it's kind of like little sticky stuff, and you can mash it around, get it warm in your hand, and you can put it in places where you want something to stay still, because you don't want the cats and the birds to, this is modular, so you don't want them to be knocking anything down because it would scare all the other ones, and anyway, might break something too. So this little pump that is in here is the next size up from the small. This is the smallest one they make right here, and the one in here is the next size up from this one. You put a little tube on here, or you can get this kind of tubing. Get all the water out of that. You can get this kind of tubing at the hardware store. I got this at Harbor Freight, these pumps. They don't have any of this tubing. My tubing came from Ace Hardware. So I will take this apart and show you how it's put together. And you can do this with your classroom. It is so easy. This one is a little tight because I didn't want water going back down there. So this is just a disc with a hole in it. These are just little, we traced, Maria had the smallest hands, and so we used her hands to trace the little shape for the hands. Now remember, we had one day to come up with the idea and build the thing, whatever, the teachers. And so then we had a couple of days for the projects to dry. These are just little slabs rolled up. I didn't get all fancy about that seam showing, but you can choose to do that or not do that. Also, a note, I'll show you on this one, it's a little darker. When you put this on here, you want to leave some little cutouts. You can probably see those. It looks kind of like about the size of a straw or something. because you want water to flow through the whole thing. You don't want to create any suction anywhere. So all of these have little places where the water can go through freely. And I made them different size. You had to just take what was available on the glaze, and some of the glazes were just stuff that people brought from their classrooms. And if it said blue on it, you got some color of blue. This one didn't say green, it said blue, but it's green. Oh, so this one was the tallest one, and it has little cutouts too. So this, then you have this slab that kind of puts it's like a stage for everything. You have to separate that from the water, or I mean from the pump. And then I have somewhere around here one of these that's made like this, and it's made out of clay and everything, but I could not locate it for this video, and I may have to use this for outside until I can find it. I cut some little shapes here so that water could flow all the way. I want this to be full, and you want water to be in here too. Here's just a little hole for the tube to go through. And then here is the pump. Now this is the tubing that I was telling you about, and it's about this color in the hardware store. And it stretches and it fits right on that little gizmo. Now, each one of these pumps has a little dial on it right here. You can probably see that. I hope you can see that. To determine, this one just has a little slider, high or low. And you'd be surprised how strong these are. This one was, as you can see, it's larger, but this one wasn't strong enough to send the water all the way up into this little onion thing that was at the top of this. And it needed to bounce off the inside of the top here so that it would come out these holes, which it does. So these little dials, this one has a different kind of dial for high and low. This one has a slider. Now, I couldn't find that week, I probably could find one now. A solar powered pump would be ideal for this, and I wouldn't have to run an extension cord out there. But this is made in, let's see if I can make this. I'll just dump the water out of it. I'll be right back. Okay, now you can see how this is built. I'll move the camera just a little bit. You can see the seam right here, and there's probably another one over there on this side. I guess I cleaned that one up a little better. The bottom is an extra, just a separate piece, and I'll turn this over. Clunk. And really, you can't see the seams very well on the outside. I was very careful to seal it up well enough that it wouldn't leak. There's a seam right there. I guess I did a fairly decent job of covering it up. And I just made a little ring for it to sit on the bottom. All slab work. The kids can, in a classroom, can make a smaller version of this, and some brilliant teacher might even be able to find little tiny miniature pumps that are solar, for kids. some schools don't have a problem with buying stuff because they have plenty of money for some reason. I don't know where it comes, probably comes from the parents, but our school was public and we didn't have a lot of money. Well, my number one critic said, well, why don't you put it back together and show us how to do that? And then someone else also asked me about the painting on the wall and why did I have it covered up. And someone else said, well, why don't you tell who won the contest? So I'm going to reconstruct our little party place for the birds and show you how it goes back together. And you'll be able to see. I put the water in last, and this little low spot over here is a good place to put the cord. And also this is the bottom of a vinegar bottle, a big like gallon size. And these slits are to let the water in and to also cover up or allow the cord to, so this can sit level. Need to move that over. You want to get this thing as close to center in there as you can. And then put one of those little cuts over the wire here, so that's where it's going to stay. Now the next thing that goes in will be the stage. And this kind of has a happy place where I can get the most stuff sitting on it. So I'm going to pull that. Oh, I bet I changed. We'll see if I changed my dial on there. We'll see if it's how it works when we get going. Okay, so this goes on. So like I said, this is all slabs, and regarding the contest, the teacher contest at the professional development thing, we had a day to build whatever we were going to make with the 25-pound bag of clay, right? So we had a day to do it, a couple of days for it to dry. Then we had so that would have been till Thursday. We glazed it, and then somebody came in. We loaded the kiln, and before we went home, and then we turned it on for overnight. And then the next day we came out for the last meeting, and we pulled them out of the kiln when it was after lunch, way after lunch. They were still hot when they came out, believe me. And so anyway, to make a long story short, I won the prize. Yay! So I bought a computer for my classroom. Yeah, I know, we didn't have computers. That was in the dark ages. All the kids have little Chromebooks or computers now, especially since they've been at home doing heaven knows what. But anyway, it was great. I was so happy that it all kind of came out with, and I made extra hands and extra little thingies like this because you know how it is in a classroom where kids are. Things get broken, and I didn't want it to just be out of commission or just parts of it. So I made spare parts. That worked out pretty good. Okay, so there's that, and here's this. Now, so I'm just going to try to center that on there. Okay, now it's plugged in, but I have to put some water in it first. don't turn your pump on without water because it'll ruin the pump. Now this particular one takes about a little over a half a gallon of water. You just want it to go up to the bottom of the stage. You don't want to cover the stage. So let's turn it. Oh, the picture. That's the other thing I forgot. I didn't say anything about. The painting, I had a cloth over the painting because the sun comes through the window over there real early in the morning, and it shines on my painting. I'm a classical painter, and that's my training. And so this is one of the paintings that hangs in my house. This is a painting. I'm a little too close. This is a scene from out in western Oklahoma, and it is where Chief Black Kettle was attacked by General Custer. One of these days I'll go through the house and I'll show you some more. The lighting is very difficult if you're standing here looking at a painting, it's a lot different than taking a picture of it because of the glare and the lighting and so forth. But anyway, I wanted to tell you this story and to let you know that I won the prize on this baby. I think I have that pump on the highest setting. When I've watched the birds, they'll land right on the edge of these fingers, and they'll get in here and splash around and let their little wings. So this is going to be sitting right outside my studio where I work in the summer. So I'll be able to get some pictures of birds in this thing. Mostly I just hear them tweeting around, and my hands are always dirty, so I can't always go handle the camera at that time. And the sun has crazed the glaze on here. I may have to make a new doodah for the top eventually. But there she is. And that got me $1,000 for my classroom. One of the other teachers in there, I should have taken her up on this because she offered me $175 for this thing when I got it finished. I couldn't believe it. But I liked it, and it was very handy to put it in my classroom because in the winter time, the air gets really dry. And when you've got clay out, which we pretty much had clay out all year long, it keeps the dust down if you can humidify the room. So I had this running most of the winters when I was teaching in my pottery room so that we could keep our dust down, because there were a lot of kids that came through there every day. Okay, everybody, happy Easter. Have a great weekend. Be safe and be blessed. Okay? Bye-bye.